go. Welcome, everyone, to NFL Week 15. Me and Corbin are going to be breaking down props and parlays for everybody. Leave a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you don't have a hot take, how could you not have a hot take or a prop to put in the comments? Like, put your favorite prop.
You must have one.
Yes, there's a million of them. We're going to go over a ton of them. So leave your favorite bet in the comment section. We love replying to these and seeing what you guys are betting on. But as always, if you don't have a comment, just type the word crown in the comment section. Type the word crown, helps the algorithm, helps boost our ratings here. We do have to talk a little bit of weather here, Corbin. Cincinnati and Tennessee, looks like showers are possible, nothing too significant. Winds gusting at 20 miles an hour, so I'm not too concerned about that one. I would say the Chiefs and Browns game could be one that's affected. We'll see some rain. 15 to 20 sustained winds gusting over 30. Okay, now you kind of getting my attention here a little bit. Once we get gusts at 30 miles an hour, that's where I'll start to pay attention. Dallas and Carolina, maybe some showers, and Indy and Denver, gusts over 30. So maybe, but probably not too bad. I guess I would say this Kansas City and Cleveland game, if you're going to put in props, maybe wait till tomorrow, make sure the weather isn't too bad. So that's going to be the weather that we have. All right, let's start with passing props here, Corbin. We'll start with the Chiefs and the Browns, and I just got done mentioning the weather. I don't know, man. Jameis is just sitting there at 35.5 pass attempts outside of the bad weather game. He's had 40 or more. I think I'm willing to go back to this. They're not going to be able to run the ball. The Chiefs are just one of the best rush defenses, and you had an interesting comment in our Discord about like why is the Nick Chubb line so much lower than the Rico Dowdle? Was that what you were talking about?
No, it's a slightly different one, but it's the same theme. Chubb can't run the ball. The Browns can't run the ball. They have to throw the ball. Weirdly, I'm actually slightly worried that this game isn't going to be that much of a blowout. Like I've talked about it before with the Browns, and I'm like, oh, at least they'll be like down or competitive. Like I'm worried that the Chiefs aren't going to be that much ahead. I wonder if they might actually try and stick to the run with Jerome Ford or slightly Chubb for a bit longer. But yeah, the weather's also a slight concern. So,
I mean, the interception for Jameis.
Yeah, that's the other one I have as well. Six interceptions in his last 3.
Is that bad, Corbin? I think that's bad.
Is that bad? Well,
yeah, it's minus.
No, definitely not.
It's minus 200. Yeah, so I don't know. Can you get to the window on any of these? I mean, the only pass props I want in this game. I do love that Jameis over 35 and he's getting
that's what. Yeah. 41 attempts, I think, in every game except the snow game is. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at. I might play both, to be honest. Like I really like both of those plays. I might just wait for the weather just in case, but I'm definitely looking at those two. So.
All right, we move on to the Bengals and the Titans. Interesting matchup. Burrow and Jamar Chase have been on fire, but they get the Titans, who have been a really good pass defense. I mean, it's a huge number, 276.5. I'm actually a little bit interested in this Will Levis under 240. He was awful last week, and he's hurt. He got tackled bad right before halftime. His shoulders was clearly bothering him.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you like either of these guys?
I'm slightly more in some of the other markets for this game, but the Levis under does sound quite appealing, so that's where I would look. Could you zoom it in a tad more as well? I can't quite see the numbers.
Oh, sure.
That would be wicked. That looks better. Yeah, maybe Levis longest into. The problem is that they're playing the Bengals, and I'm not sure I trust the Bengals to necessarily stop anyone or any offense at the minute. So
yeah, pass attempts. Burrow's at 37.5. That's amazing. Burrow's more than Jameis, which is
yeah. That is quite crazy. I mean, they both can't run the ball, so it's kind of the same similar theme. So
I have a feeling I know where you're going with some receivers in that game. Let's move on to the Commanders and the Saints. I have nothing on Jaden Daniels and Hainer.
Nope.
Yeah, let's just move on. Ravens and Giants. The Giants.
You're going to laugh. I'm about to say that I like him to go over. I like DeVito to go over this week.
It's so low. It's
Yeah,
so low. What a
the
low
Ravens have
total.
the worst pass defense. He's gonna be behind the whole game. He's playing for some kind of job. What that job is, we don't. Who knows? But he's got to put something out there to try and get even a backup, a solid backup, will stay there. He got 189 versus the Bucks. I quite like it at this total, to be honest.
Garbage time counts, guys. So I'm with you. Anytime I see these really low numbers, I'm just like, really? You can't
Yeah.
get to 177 and a half? Yeah, I don't know.
It's another one you can take live as well. So once they get down big going into the second half, if he's had a rough first quarter or second, you mentioned garbage time where the defense isn't particularly trying that hard at that point, but you can normally pick up some of these like quarterbacks at quite a lower total for that kind of area. So
Dolphins and the Texans, I will tell you, I really, really like Tua over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Texans are tied for the most passing touchdowns allowed through the air at 26. This Texans team, their defense is banged up. It's just not been that good. And the Dolphins aren't running the ball with much success. What would they have? 6 rushing touchdowns from A-Chain and Mostert this year? And Tua's been accurate. He's been good. They're indoors. There's no weather. I like this 1.5 passing touchdowns. What do you think?
yeah, I like it. I was looking at Tua's yards actually, and I quite like that for much of the similar themes that you just mentioned. They have huge issues running the ball. They have so many offensive weapons that even when Tyreek Hill doesn't look, who knows where he's been this year, but like Jonnu Smith steps up. Waddle had a good game last week. He's gone 4 straight over this total comfortably as well, like not even close to this number. Texans pass defense is on a slide at the minute. I quite like Tua over 260. I had it at 268, so I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, I was also looking at the completions for Tua at 24.5. He's been going over this total. The dink and dunk seems to be a little bit more what they're doing rather than the hit Tyreek for 80 yards. That just
Yeah.
isn't really happening this year. So, yeah, those are ways to look at it. I think Tua has a really nice game. It's where you got to pick a category or do some kind of, I don't know if you did some kind of same game parlay with Tua to throw a
Yes.
touchdown with over 250. I don't know. You could do something with it,
You
but
could quite easily do that.
yeah, you could do Tua with somehow. So Cowboys and the Panthers, Cooper Rush and Bryce Young. I never thought I would say this, Corbin, but Bryce Young seems to be rejuvenating his career.
Oh, he does.
Doesn't look that bad. 207.5. My worry with the 207.5 is that it's Hubbard's backfield now. Poor Jonathan Brooks. I feel awful for that guy. Re-tears the same ACL. Oh,
That's got to be
yeah,
rough.
it's awful. It means we probably don't see him. Probably don't see him next year.
No.
And here's the thing: Hubbard's been good, and he's going to be able to run against the Cowboys. We just know that. So I wonder if Bryce Young doesn't have to do much in this one. In the end, I just can't bet either of these guys. So as much as I want to on Bryce Young, I'm just not going to be able to. What do you think?
Similar theme. I think Young will throw the ball. I think they're not just gonna want to go back to just Hubbard running the ball. They're gonna want to keep his confidence high. I think I have quite a few. I have 2 receivers coming up in that game, so I'll leave that. But yeah, I think Chuba as well is gonna have a good game. So we'll get to that in the rushing. But no, I'm not doing anything with the passing props. But I certainly will be in the next game if you're okay
Let's
with
do
me.
it. Let's do it.
I am on the Aaron Rodgers train again. I
Jim is
think
gone, so now you have to be the
I
resident Jets guy. Oh no.
yes, but I'm on the other side. I'm expecting a good game from Rodgers here. So I'm looking at him in 2 aspects. Over 1.5 passing touchdowns is probably my favorite. It was plus money when I had it. The Jags have the second worst pass defense. They've given up 24 passing touchdowns this year. The Jets struggle to run the ball. Rodgers looks younger. He looks healthier. He looks more mobile.
Oh my
And
God.
and
Younger, mobile.
he
Come
does.
on.
Have you watched him? Have you?
Watch him get sacked.
He's getting out of the pocket. He's moving well. I think he looks a lot better since that bye week where they had the week off. I think he's going to be next year. I think he's going to. This is them rebuilding and getting ready for next year.
Where's the Tylenol? Where's the Advil? I'm instantly getting a headache listening to this. Oh my god,
He's
I can't believe this. I
he's
really can't.
he's gone over 1.5 in 2 of the last 3 and 4 of the last 6, and he had 339 yards last week. This is the spot. They're playing the Jags. The Jags suck. Rodgers is going to be all over this. I'm
You
telling
are.
you.
I will say this: if there is a team where he can look really good again, it's Jacksonville.
Thank you.
So, all right, I'm with you. I have a stunning one for you.
Stun me.
All right, let's do Lamar Jackson to not throw an interception, parlayed with Mac Jones to not throw an interception, and that gets us to plus 206. Did you know, Corbin, the two New York teams combined have 4 interceptions this year?
Jesus.
They do not intercept the ball. So Lamar might be one of my favorite parlay pieces. How is Lamar Jackson going to throw an interception against the Giants?
Yeah, that does sound good.
They have 2, and so this is the fade the New York secondary. Think about that: 4 interceptions combined between the two.
That's crazy.
New York teams. That's my sneaky parlay. That being said, Lamar at minus 160, minus 175 to not throw an interception.
That.
That's a parlay piece.
I'm going to jot that one down.
Yeah, I think we can do something with that one. That's probably going to make a parlay for clients. How can you not? How is Lamar going to throw the ball that many times?
Why is he going to need to throw the ball?
That's right. Exactly. So, all right. So those are my. I can't believe Aaron Rodgers' love. Unbelievable.
I'm telling you, I've done it one other time this season, and it was against your Colts, and it hit again. So this is the time. If there's any matchup, it's this one.
It's a good matchup. You're right. Speaking of the Colts, let's get to the Colts and the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos, I got to tell you, this Anthony Richardson's not good at passing. Broncos are dealing with some bad injuries in their secondary. They're susceptible. They've been getting passed all over the last couple weeks. This is pretty low. I don't know if I can get there on Anthony Richardson because I also think the Colts. Weirdly, I think this is a high-scoring game. These defenses have kind of struggled here recently. I'm not sure how to attack it from the quarterback perspective, though. Do you have any takes on this one?
I'm taking it. I like Bo Nix over 236, I think it is, versus your Colts, who I just wrote. The Colts pass defense sucks.
Yeah, they're bad.
I don't need to overcomplicate it. I think I say it every week. I take every quarterback in some form or shape over against the Colts, and I'm just going to keep doing it. 26 versus the pass. My one worry is that they've also become really bad against the run. Like, they are the worst against the run as well. So it could. I think the Broncos could run the ball as well. But Nix has gone over this total easily in his last 3 as well. He's building momentum here, and I forgot who I mentioned, Bryce Young before. I think they just want to keep these guys just rolling and ticking along, and I think this is still quite a low total against one of the worst pass defenses in the league, quite honestly.
Yeah, so I mean, this Broncos team, they can score, man. 41 points against Cleveland, 29 against Vegas, 38 against the Falcons. These are some pretty big totals that we're seeing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see points pretty high in this one. Let's move on to the Steelers and the Eagles. I have no passing props for this game.
Nor do I.
Bills and the Lions, Goff and Allen. I have other plays in this game, but not really in these quarterbacks.
No.
Patriots and Cardinals. Yeah, you could talk me into Drake May 217.5. Can't say it's my most confident pick, but I love what I see from Drake May. I think he's the real deal. I think he's going to be good, and he's had 282, 222, and 238 the last 3 games. I wanted to pull up his completions here on the Cardinals. So Drake May's completion number is 20.5. He's had 29, 22, and 24 in the last 3 games. Before that, he only had 15. That was against Chicago, though. That was in a win where Chicago was awful. They ran the ball.
Yes.
Against Tennessee, he had 29. Against Jacksonville, 26. So I think
I like the sound of that completions prop.
There's something there with Drake.
I'd rather take the completions than the yards for May on that front.
Let's do that. Let's roll with Drake May on his completions. I like that too as well. You like either of these guys, or move on to the next one?
We can move on. I only have one play in the next game, but I'm sure you'll nail it just just as well as me.
Yeah, buddy.
I have to say I'm quite disappointed when I tuned in yesterday to Wager Talk Today, and I did not hear this prop being mentioned for what was it, the fourth consecutive week?
Well, that's the thing, is I mentioned it
Well,
so
that's the
many
point. You got to go in there every week and just keep doing it.
All right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, it's Justin Herbert. Not throwing an interception.
Yeah, he has one interception all year against, and the Bucks' pass defense is awful.
They only have 6 interceptions the entire year. You know, Herbert's now over 300 pass attempts in a row without an interception. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Just keep playing it. And
Yeah.
the price, I was expecting the price to be much worse than -110.
So this is really interesting, Corbin. I was going to bring this up with Justin Herbert. We always talk about these props to, like you keep playing week after week. With Harbaugh now, this is a completely different team, a new attitude, a different offense, and Herbert is just not making the bad mistake. Not only is this a play that I want to play every week this year, I think this is a play for years.
Oh, that's not many of those where you can sit there and say, I want to play the streak for a year, but I agree with you.
Look, it's a completely different attitude with this team. They've got J.K. Dobbins, and he was great with J.K. Dobbins in the lineup, and he's still not throwing interceptions, even without J.K. Dobbins in the lineup. So I think this may be one where starting week 1 next year, set it and forget it. Herbert to not throw an interception. So the night game, Packers and Seahawks. I again cannot figure your Packers passing props. So I also can't really figure out your the Seahawks. The DK Metcalf is clearly hurt. He's not 100%. I don't know what to do with Geno or anything. So for me, it's a pass.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move on to the receiving props. We'll start with the Chiefs and the Browns. Noah Gray is all the way up to 27.5. Any of these receiving props catch your attention?
You just mentioned him. Noah Gray over 2.5 receptions is where I'm going. I'm going receptions over yards. 4 straight with 4 receptions. So he isn't just getting there with 3 receptions. He's getting there with 4. This is very close to one of my favorite plays on the board. I'm just going to carry on riding it. It's a similar theme we talk about. You just keep finding these players that I've got a couple coming up as well. You just play them every week whilst it's still at that same number. 2.5 receptions is great. I think I think this game I think every Chiefs game is going to be close at this point. So I have no blowout worries. I don't worry. Winston can sling the ball around. I think the Browns can still put up points or keep this close. I'm going to use, we'll get to it probably at some point, but an alt spread on the Browns to cover 10 and 14 points is still only -500. I did it last week. I forgot who the Chiefs played last week. It was the Chargers, and I had the Chargers plus 7.5, 10.5, 14.5. It's great. You just keep doing it. But yeah, Noah Gray is the one that stands out for me on this board. So
I agree. I don't think you need to get too far into this to just pick one play and move on. Let's move on to the Bengals and the Titans. All right. T. Higgins was awful last week, Corbin. He was so slow coming off the line. He looked like he didn't care.
It was.
They were just targeting Jamar Chase. And so I don't know what the deal was with Higgins last week. I don't know if he just knew he wasn't involved in the game plan or what, but I'm not. If he looks like that again, 65.5 is a pipe dream.
Yes.
for him. I'm guessing.
You know where I'm going. Where I'm going.
Well, and you know where I'm going. I'm going to Ishavash at 23.5, and you're going to Chase Brown at 30.5, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you go first. Chase Brown, talk it out.
Well, Chase Brown over in 4 of his last 5. The one he didn't, he landed on 30 exactly, so lost by 0.5 if you had this total. The Titans have a good pass defense, and I weirdly think that's going to help Chase Brown here.
I agree.
They're going to try and lock up Higgins and Jamar, and it's going to leave these short little dump offs to Chase Brown. He has so much speed. He's so explosive. Like, I don't know what his longest reception is, but like from the games I've watched, he's been getting like 10 plus yards a reception. Like, I think he only needs like 3 or 4 to get to this total. I really like this here. I will say I was also looking at Chase receptions, because if he is getting locked down going deep, they're just going to get him on these little slants or these little quick throws, just like the Cowboys. I remember we were betting it live on Chase receptions and Chase Brown receiving. Chase to have is only 6.5 receptions, which I find a little baffling here. He's over in 5 of the last 6. I think they're going to have more quick throws that will get him some more receptions. But I also think their pass defense is overrated. I've mentioned it before. You look at some of the teams they've played to have this kind of total. Like, they played like the Jags with Mac Jones, and like all these other like teams where they had their backup quarterbacks. Like, there's a reason their pass defense is like, I'm not saying it's a bad pass defense. I'm just saying it isn't. I don't think it's a top 3 or whatever they are at the minute. They also can't run the ball. I'm another team that I frequently mention. The Chase Brown, for as good as I was just saying he is in the receiving game, he is having significant issues running the ball. The offensive line just doesn't hold up long enough to get anywhere. So I think there's going to be lots of point scoring on both sides. The Bengals can't stop anyone either. So high scoring, I'm going to take those two. Definitely Chase Brown over 30.5, and probably Chase over his 6.5 receptions. So,
well, I'm going back to Iasvash.
Yosivast.
This 2.5 at plus 125 is enticing. This guy's had 3, 3, and 4 last 3 weeks. His targets 3, 4, and 5. Targets are going up, and like you said, if they try and lock down Higgins and Chase, this Chase Brown and Ishfat, these guys are going to be open, and he clearly has the trust of Burrow. Like, he's been catching these. So his yards total the last 4 weeks are 29, 46, 35, and 41. I would also bring up the longest reception for him. It's 13.5. The last 4 weeks, he's had a catch of 19, 27, 17, and 23. So I think you're getting some pretty good traction out of
even outside of last week. I forgot we had I put Higgins in an alt play. I think it was the week before. I don't know if you remember.
I
put him
do.
to I have 4 receptions and like 40 or 50 yards. And even at one point, I think it was the first half, he was really struggling then as well. He got there for
garbage time. It was complete garbage time.
He got there for that bet that week. But yeah, it's not like Higgins hasn't just struggled this last week, even though it looks more noticeable. He was struggling the weeks before that as well. So
Agreed. So, all right, Commanders and Saints. I have nothing in this game with Hainer. Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm joining you. Nothing.
All right, Ravens and the Giants again. I wanted to take some unders, but it's a pass for me. It's a pass for me because with the Giants, you're depending on the garbage time, and why pick a receiver? Just take DeVito over, like we went over. And with the Ravens, I'm just not sure they're going to need to throw the ball that much.
Well, I'm going to pick 2 receivers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go. So I have 2 here. So Wan'Dale Robinson over 3.5 receptions. It's minus 170, or over 29.5. This is one that I'm going to ask you to jump in. Which one you think's better? Receptions, slightly juicier, or the receiving? So when DeVito was caught.
Easy call.
Really?
For
okay.
Receptions.
So, okay, well, listen to this. So, when DeVito was quarterback in the other game, he had 5 receptions for 47 yards. So obviously clears both lines as well. 9 of his 11 that he's gone over on his receptions, only 1 of those he didn't then go over 29.5. So it's kind of telling me if he's going over this receptions total, the chances are he's going over this receiving total. So it's a case of whether you want to lay the extra juice from minus 125 to 170 when the stats are kind of saying they kind of go hand in hand. So that's why I was interested. Which would you still side with the receptions?
I would just go with the receptions, and I wouldn't think. To me, I wouldn't think too much about it.
So. Okay. The second prop I have is Tyrone Tracy over 19.5. He's gone way over this the last 3 games. They're going to be playing from behind. He's going to have issues running the ball. He had 4 receptions when DeVito was quarterback. Number 1 rush defense. It's going to be hard for him to run. I think DeVito's going to check it down, and he could easily go over 19.5. So that's where I'm looking.
I love it. Let's move on to the Dolphins and the Texans. Not much for me here. There's a couple you could talk me into a little bit, maybe Dalton Schultz over, but in the end, I want to go to Tua's passing props. I don't really care who he throws the ball to. Do you like any of these particular wide receivers?
Nope.
Cowboys and the Panthers. I do like Xavier Legette. I watched Jamar Chase run all over. He was just way faster. So I want to pick the guy from the Panthers who's going to be faster than some of the guys in the secondary. His number's 37.5. Against Philly, a great pass defense, Corbin. He had 8 targets. He only caught 2 of them, but he had 39 yards. And before that, 53 yards, 56 yards, 40 yards. I like what I'm seeing from Bryce Young. Thielen is getting all the attention. He's the one that people have been telling, oh, fantasy football, pick him up. To me, it's Legette. I like his speed. I think he does the most damage. What do you think?
Well, you just named the 2 players that I'm about to mention. I'm going to start with Thielen. I like Thielen to go over. 3 straight over.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He went massively over. This is when I was saying I like Young to have a good week, but I'm going to pick these 2 receivers rather than try and have Young do well for everyone. The Cowboys defense sucks, and the Bengals just showed it. They're young. Young's full of confidence. He's throwing the ball well, and they're 2 teams that are going in very opposite directions. Panthers are on the up, and the Cowboys are somehow sliding even more down. Cowboys 23rd versus the pass. My one concern I mentioned earlier is that they also have a horrific run defense, so it could just be a Chuba Hubbard show. Legette, I've been playing Legette the last 4 or 5 weeks, I think it was. But my one so he's gone over in 4 straight. My one concern is I don't think he had a reception until late in the game last week. It was only once they were really behind and in hurry up and chase mode that he started getting his work. Also might look at his longest reception. It's 18.5, and he's gone over in 6 straight. I feel like he's going to have the longer of over 18.5 to get to this 37.5. He also dropped a couple of catches last week against the Eagles, notably that huge one that would have got them right down into the red zone. But yeah, they're the 2 that I'm looking at. I might just keep Legette is another one that I've just been riding, and I might just continue to ride him for the rest of the year as well. So,
we're gonna get to Hubbard and the rushing props for sure. Jets and the Jaguars. You could if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good day, I'm in on Devontae Adams. I don't know if you're on. Are you on Devontae?
I'm about to be a huge contradiction because I am not picking a receiver.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to stick with Aaron Rodgers, and who knows? Wilson could go for 100 yards. They'll probably whip out Lazard to have his regular 60-yard game, and then Adams is just catching 5 passes for 40 yards or something. I can't pick a receiver for the Jets.
Okay. Travis Etienne, maybe 12.5. Like he hasn't gone over a ton but the last game against Tennessee, he had 4 targets. He caught all 4 of them for 50 yards. Now, I will say you probably could look at receptions. Let's look at receptions for Etienne because this is Tank Bigsby's rushing job. Etienne at 2.5. You know what? That's what I want. I want Etienne 2.5. He's had 4, 3, and 3. Corbin, he's actually had 10 targets the last 3 weeks. He's caught all of them. So, give me Travis Etienne over 2.5. It's only minus 105. Yeah, I'll take that one. Any other receiving props you like in this one?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to the Steelers and the Eagles. Where's the AJ Brown? I bitch and bitch and bitch, even though Corbin.
There's worse spots that I would rather be in than where AJ Brown is right now, getting paid millions to not
Well, let's.
particularly do that much at the minute. So
I think I skipped a game here.
oh,
Colts,
okay.
Colts and Broncos. We're going to get to Cortland Sutton in your all game parlay. I will say, Downs is back. This is a pretty hefty number. That being said, I think Richardson is gonna. I think he's gonna be able to have success. So if I do want to pick a Colts wide receiver, it's just kind of tough. So I'll go with Pittman 44.5. He's been awful this year. This is just a banged up Broncos secondary, and I think you're getting a pretty good price on Michael Pittman. He can catch 20-yard passes. He's not going to be the guy that catches an 80-yarder, but I would go with Pittman kind of as a sneaky one. Do you like any receivers, Colts, Broncos?
I would not pick a Colts receiver. I think if you're going to be brave enough to have a play in that kind of passing area, I'd rather go Richardson, which is crazy for me to say in my head. I'll quickly do Sutton over 70.5. I have got his alt coming up later, but I still like him to go over 70.5. He's over in 5 of his last 6, and the one that he didn't of that 6, he landed on 70 again. Expecting Bo Nix to have a good game. He's the clear wide receiver 1. Colts can't stop anyone and always give up big plays. So
agreed. All right, now let's move on to Steelers and Eagles. Sorry.
Yes.
All right, yeah. So AJ Brown complaining about not getting enough touches, and then what did we see in San Francisco? Now I will say this: Debo complains about getting touches, so they target him a bunch, and what happens? They lose. So I wonder if the Eagles and Sirianni are like, we're just not going to do that. This is too important of a game. But it feels like when these receivers complain, they do get peppered with targets. So I think AJ Brown is going to be kind of. I think he's going to be a big like targeted play in this one.
Big enough to go over 81.5.
Well, here's my point. When everyone is looking at a certain play, the value is in something else. So I know it's minus 190, but Van Jefferson under 2.5 receptions. Corbin, he's played in 13 games. He has 18 catches. Oh, he's going to get 3?
It's just the way of all the props I thought you might have just segued to. I was not expecting a Van Jefferson under to be the next words under.
Okay,
out of your mouth. So.
All right, so here are his catches the last few weeks: 1, 1, 2, 0, and 0. And we can get him at under 2.5 against this pass defense. No way, no way. Use this as a parlay piece. It's Van Jefferson again. 13 games. He has 18 catches. He's gone over this total one time, and it was against the Giants. With all due respect to the Giants, the Eagles are not the Giants. I know. Pickens,
wow, how did you come up with that?
I know Pickens probably isn't going to play, but he didn't play last week, and Van Jefferson had a target. He had 1 target, and yet we can take him under 3 catches. Yes, everyone's going to be looking at AJ Brown. I will be looking for Van Jefferson unders. That's why people tune into the show, Corbin, because they get Van Jefferson. That was so great in that.
Yes. I'm going to quickly do Pat Freiermuth over 30.5. I think the Steelers are going to be down or at worst competitive in this game. Don't expect Pickens to play. It's still a low total, and he's gone over this in 3 straight easily, like not even close. I think it's a steal. It's one that I might also look to play live as well. Actually, I've just seen it's gone up to, I think that's 35.5. So
yeah,
that puts me off slightly considering it was 30.5 when I wrote this last night. So that 5-yard jump probably now actually puts me off playing it, but I may look to grab it live if they get down and into the second half. So
all right, that's the Steelers and the Eagles. Bills and the Lions. Do we go back to Tim Patrick?
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
Love this play. Love this play.
You want yards or receptions?
I want yards, I think, but I also am considering his longest. So he's over in the last 3 again, easily, not even close. Same with the longest reception. He's gone well into the 20s. It's 16.5, if I remember.
Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's well into the 20s.
15 and a half. It dropped down to 15 and a half. Even better.
Almost sent Andy off his chair there with a
even better.
Yeah, I love that play, quite honestly. The lines are going to be competitive. This has got shootout written all over, and the Bills cannot defend anyone. I I painfully had an alt line of the Bills plus 10.5 last week, and I was sweating because every single time they were on defense, it was just like close, close, oh, first down, close, close, first down. Like they were, it was, what was it, the highest scoring game? Like, was it just of the season or
Well, Josh
high
Allen
scoring?
sets the record for quarterback fantasy points. It's the highest scoring game of the season. A lot of it
Yeah,
was in catch up mode, but I get what you're saying.
I think Tim Patrick's going to have a good game. I keep saying it. This is another play that I might, or I have just been playing, and I'm probably just going to play till the end of the year. It's just that simple.
David Montgomery, I talked about this one. I did talk about this one, and this is actually a client play. It's bumped up to 16.5, whatever. Take it. It was 15.5. So, 5 targets, 5 catches for 33 yards last week. 3 targets, 3 catches for 36 yards. 3 targets for 3 catches, 36 yards. 3 targets, 3 catches, 20 yards. He's been going over. People don't realize how involved he is in this pass. And like you said, Corbin, track meet at this low total, he can get over. He has a 19, a 16, a 24, a 19, and a 40-yard catch this year. He has the potential to do this in one catch. If he gets 2 catches, he's probably going over. So
Yeah.
David Montgomery, under the radar, kind of like you don't think of David Montgomery in the passing game, but he's been getting there. So
Yeah.
Patriots and the Cardinals. Someone brought up, this is an interesting one. See, Austin Hooper is at 2.5. Shout out to Tommy Unders on Twitter. You can follow him, Tommy Unders. So why is Austin Hooper 2.5? He's hit. He just keeps hitting this. I think I like Drake May, so I gotta like some of his receivers. And Austin Hooper, out of nowhere, has just kind of become a really nice safety blanket. He's caught all 12 targets in the last 3 weeks. 4 for 4, 4 for 4, 4 for 4. And you're getting plus 120 at 2.5. He's hit this in 4 straight games and 6 out of the last 7. That's kind of where I'm going. What do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm playing nothing in this game. I'm still sad that they've moved James Conner to 3.5 receptions. I've been right in the 2.5. I watched some of the show last week, and thankfully you mentioned it because it was one of my favorite plays last week. Was Conner over 2.5 receptions? I may look to use an alt line to try and get him back to that 2.5, but as soon as the line moves, it kind of scares me. So
I get it. Buccaneers and Chargers. Not much here because we're waiting. I wanted to see what's going on with Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. Other than that, I don't really have much. Do you like any of these receivers?
yeah, I like Lad McConkey to go over 74.5. I don't understand why. I was expecting this total to be slightly higher. So he's gone over in the last 3 that he played, again, easily, not even close to this. He gets what I call one of the dream matchups, which is playing the Bucks, who can't stop anyone through the air. The Bucks should put up points, which I think is going to make this game competitive. I think they're going to need to keep throwing the ball. They don't have J.K. Dobbins, obviously, so it's Gus Edwards running the ball. So I think the Chargers are going to have issues running, so they're going to do more passing. McConkey is the clear wide receiver one. He's the clear workhorse. The injury slightly concerns me, but as everyone that watches the show regularly knows, I love players coming back from an injury. I'm surprised this isn't in the 80s. I'm probably going to play this one with my money. So.
I like it. Packers and the Seahawks. Again, your wide receiving core is just the most impossible to try and figure out. And they go up against another wide receiving core that's impossible. I have nothing receiving.
You nailed it. Yeah, carry on.
Nothing in this one. All right, guys, real quick, we do want to talk about 10-day special for $99. Really encourage everyone to take a more of a long-term approach. Why? Because since January 1st, 2023, we are number 1 in terms of profits brought in. Nobody's brought in more profits in the last 2 years than we have. You can get 10 days for $99. We have a 5% cross-sport parlay that starts on Saturday. We've got our NFL pack that starts on Sunday, and Corbin, the World Championship of Darts start. So I went back and looked. We had 34 plays in this tournament last year, and we brought in 19 units, just under 20
Love it.
units of profit. So you're going to get the first few days, and you want to explain why the first few days of darts are like the most important in this tournament. And by the way, these are available on all your sports books. I want
Yeah.
to make that very clear.
Yeah.
This is DraftKings. This is FanDuel. These are your other books. Like these are
Yeah,
available
I,
on
I
all.
literally checked every US and offshore book that I can get access to. Every single one had these plays, so I would have no concerns about that. You basically the first round is the real bad players. Like I question how some of these have even qualified. Like I'm not going to give out the plays that I have, but there are some people averaging in the 60s and 70s playing people that are like pros, like that are playing this every week. There's just huge mismatches. Like half these people have part-time, if not full-time jobs. Like some
Full-time
of them,
jobs, Corbin. These
some,
guys are not playing darts full-time. Come on.
but they're like I'm betting against a plumber against in this is a full-time week in week out player. It's just the mismatches are crazy, and then you get into the round two, and it's like a huge jump again. You go from like the top 10 players to like 30 and below players. There's a huge drop off. There's like I kind of categorize it into three bits. You have like the top 10, then you have like the 10 to 30 or 40 range, and then you have all these plumbers, whatever else they are, just doing this for the fun of it, quite honestly, from like 50 and below. So yeah, huge opportunities with some really good prices. There's not many sports where you get full-time players that are flying against just complete nobodies and still minus 200s to 500s, quite honestly.
So that starts on Sunday. If we lock in 10 days, you're going to get all those for the first few rounds. I would
Yes.
also mention NHL, 7-1 in our last 8 plays in NHL. 103-64 the last 2 seasons in NHL. We're also having a really good NBA season. UFC is going really, really well. We have a play up that is available on Saturday evening. But lock in those 10 days. It's just $99. They don't run those specials very often. So encourage everyone. You get 7 days and then 3 days for free. So that's how this works out.
If I'm right in saying they'll get some of the not just one weekend of NFL as well, they'll probably get some for the week after just
You're going
about
to
as
get the
well.
next week
So
as well. We already have several strong
yeah.
client plays locked in. So grab all those guys. All right, let's move on to the rushing props. There's going to be a lot of passes on these plays, but there's going to be some strong opinions on this one. We'll start with the Chiefs and the Browns. Corbin, do you like any of these?
I had nothing until you mentioned the weather, and now I'm somewhat interested in Isaiah Pacheco. I didn't research him. I've got none of the numbers, but if we're expecting some funky weather, I could that's still a low total for Pacheco, I feel like. So
13.5 rush attempts kind of gets
I
my
like that.
attention. So, I thought about Jameis Winston over 10.5 rushing yards. He went over pretty easily. Over 2.5 rush attempts. I like that one. I think he takes off a couple times. We'll move on to the Bengals and the Titans. Can I interest you in Chase Brown under 67.5?
Wow.
It's a
Yeah.
big. It's a pretty big number,
I've
isn't it?
mentioned he's struggled to run the ball, so 67 and a half. It's like it's one of those where you look at it and you wonder why it's so high. Like, do they know something that we don't know? Because like I don't feel like he's been having that. Like he has a few games where he has success and then he just disappears again. Um, I'm more on the Tony Pollard this week. The
Okay.
Bengals can't stop anyone on defense. The Titans are at their best when he's running the ball. I don't even know if Levis is injured or just stupid or both.
Both. He's
He's not
awful. He's
he's not
awfully and
very
hurt.
good.
It's the daily double. He's bad and he's hurt.
Yeah. I was waiting for the rush attempts. Rush attempts for Tony Pollard was another one that I've played quite a lot this year. I don't think
Not
no,
out
it's
yet.
not. It's not out, but so I would wait to see what that number comes before I got tempted into a Pollard. I will say in the games that he's got 17 or more carries, he's gone over 88 yards in each game. So I think he's going to get those kind of attempts here. So I could also quite easily go for the yards. So
Okay. All right. The Commanders and the Saints. I love Brian Robinson Jr. to have a really nice game here. Um, eh, Derek Carr's out. The Saints team is What do they have? What do they have? 5 wins? Yeah, 5-8. Hayner's playing 14-11 last week against the Giants, and Tyrone Tracy ran 16 for 45. I think this is against Hayner. I think this is a Brian Robinson Jr. game. The Saints defense has not been good. I actually like Hayner over 9.5. I actually think that might be my favorite play in this one. It's under the radar. Let me pull up just a couple sneaky numbers here, Corbin, before everyone laughs at me. So Hayner hasn't played a ton, but against the Chargers, he came in. He was 9-17 for 122 yards. He ran 2 times for 10 yards. Against the Chiefs, he came in. He threw 7 attempts, and he ran for 11 yards. He's the starter. He's a starter. He's going to take off. It's a young quarterback, and what do, Corbin, when their first read is gone? They take off. This is 9.5. You can get this in one total. I like Hayner over 9.5. You think I'm crazy?
Yes. Well, not necessarily crazy, just more I don't want to touch that guy.
Don't touch him. He didn't give you permission.
I was going to mention Alvin Kamara under 65.5. I'm not going to play this, and my judgment may be clouded by last week because I'm still very mad that he didn't get to my alt lines of 40 and 50 and 60. He was so bad.
He was awful.
He looked so slow. He had 17 carries for 44 yards, and 20 of those yards came in the right at the end. Quite honestly, he was so bad. 20, but then you have the outlier. The week before, he had 23 carries versus the Rams for 112, and then he goes back and he's 16 rush attempts for 67, 17 for 55. They have that I can't say his name, Hayner at quarterback. So maybe they don't throw as much and they try and give him some more rush attempts and but then if I'm the Commanders, all I do is I stack the box and I just take away Kamara and make Hayner throw to nobody really. It's
amazing. I mean, we were looking at Chris Olave and Carr earlier this year. Now it's Hayner to Juwan Johnson. Yeah, really wild here. So, all right, well, let's move on to the Ravens and the Giants. Holy cow, did this Justice Hill number skyrocket? Corbin, I was all over Justice Hill when it was lower in the week. I think I talked about it when it was 11.5. Yeah, why would they run Derrick Henry into the ground in the fourth quarter if they're up big against the Giants? I think I think Justice Hill gets some really, really nice garbage time here. I get it. Derrick Henry over 100 yards. I guess I get it, but I don't know, man. Why wear and tear on Derrick Henry in this game? Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to contradict you. I have seen everyone talking about Justice Hill, and
really,
yes, I have seen it mentioned, and I don't like it.
I was the first. They're talking about it because I was the first on.
Yes, Andy. Well, I maybe 10 or 11.5 I could get behind. Where it is now, I am so not with this. So they're off a bye. Henry's already rested. He doesn't need an extra week's worth of rest. He's going to torch them, and I don't think they're going to need Justice Hill. He's ineffective. He has max 5 carries a game, no matter what the score is, no matter what rest they want to give Henry. He still isn't really going over with 5 carries. He's gone over in 1 of his last 8. I really I've never seen a play that everyone's on that I dislike so much, but I really dislike this play.
I liked it 11.5, but not 16.5.
Yes. If anything, I'm taking the under. I'm going under 16.5.
All right. Well, I gave it out on Bet on it, so but we record on Wednesday.
Yeah, 11.5. I can somewhat get behind. 16.5, not at all for me. I will quickly say there's one play that I want to persuade people not to bet, and it's Henry first quarter rushing. You can get this at FanDuel and some other books, but most people like similar thing to what Andy's saying about Justice Hill. They go, oh, Henry will get the work early and then he'll be quiet, but it's 24.5 in the first quarter. And like initially you go, oh, like that's such a low total for someone that they're expecting to go over 100. But he averages 19 in the first quarter. I went back and looked. He had 17 versus the Steelers, 13 versus the Chargers, 10 versus the Bengals, and he only went over with 38 versus the Eagles, where he had a 19 long run towards the end of the first quarter. I would be aware. I wouldn't get sucked. I've seen quite a few people mentioning to take Henry in the first quarter. They don't get off to a fast start sometimes, the Ravens. But I would be tempted to parlay Henry to have a touchdown at -295. Last 2 weeks he hasn't had one. He's coming off the rest. Gets a dream matchup versus the Giants, one of the worst rush defenses. I think he could quite easily get a touchdown. So that's what I will say.
Dolphins and Texans, not much here from me.
No.
You? All right.
We know where we're both going with this one.
Let's go, Hubbard. I'll let you go.
Panthers are at their best rushing the ball. The Cowboys can't stop anyone on defense. The third worst rush defense. The Panthers now have that nice balanced attack where it's not just Hubbard, and they can just try and dial in on him. Like they have to actually worry about the passing game now, which I think just opens it up for Hubbard even more. I am slightly worried or slightly concerned. I think he might be slowing down just a touch, saying that he did get 92 yards last week, but he did need 26 attempts to get to that 92. His total is 81.5. I would have liked it more in the 70. And since week 6, he's only cleared this total in 2 games. But if there's any matchup he's going to do it, I feel like this is a great one for him. So,
yeah, I'm with you. Rico Dowdle's kind of in the same boat. This Panthers team that just gives up rushing yards galore. So it's amazing. Look at these rushing totals. Rico Dowdle 18.5, Hubbard 19.5. I kind of like the rush attempts on Hubbard. Like, who else are they giving?
What was the number on Hubbard? Sorry, I missed it for rush attempts.
19.5.
Yeah, I think I almost prefer that to the yards, just for the reason that I mentioned last week that he had 92 yards on 26 carries. So
sure. Jets and the Jaguars, nothing in this one. No Jets lines. Yep. All right. Colts and the Broncos. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, 76.5. You can run on the Broncos for sure. We're not really sure about the Anthony Richardson thing. Yeah, it's Jonathan Taylor. The Broncos have been giving up. They've been getting gashed on the ground. So Jonathan Taylor, 76.5. Maybe his rush attempts. Are 19.5. Corbin's dying. So I think I think there's points. I think this is a sneaky game where a lot of people have stats. So I'll take Taylor 76.5. What do you think?
I have no opinion of it. I quite like the Taylor, but it's a pass from me.
Steelers and the Eagles. Are you on the Jalen Warren bandwagon?
No.
This week? No? Okay. Do you like any of these rushing props here?
Nope.
Me neither. Bills and the Lions. It's maybe this is.
Don't say it. Don't say what I think you're about to say.
What? Go ahead.
Are you going to talk about James Cook?
No, I was going to
Okay,
say.
good.
I was going to say the Montgomery and Gibbs, like the combo. It's like if you play each of them to have a touchdown each week, or each of them to go over their rushing. It feels like they hit more. It feels like they hit. And this Bills team, they suck against running backs. You can do whatever you want against this defense. I think their defense is god awful. So I like Montgomery receiving. That's kind of my play here. But I wouldn't blame you if you took Montgomery rushing, Gibbs rushing, and both of them to score touchdowns. They get in the 30s. Aren't both these guys probably scoring? What do you think?
It's one. So I'm not going to play either of them before. I'm going to either parlay both of them at alt totals together. I've done that quite a few times this year and it's worked well. Or I'm going to do what I normally do. And Montgomery normally gets the first series. And then I bet Gibbs. And the line just shoots down. Is it 68.5 for Gibbs? It's going to be into the 50s live into the first quarter. It always is. And I don't understand how the books haven't caught on. That's the way I'm going to look to play that. I kind of lean Josh Allen to go over 40.5. He's cleared it in 3 of the last 4, and the only one he didn't was in that blowout win versus the 49ers. Every time a game is competitive or gets close, He just runs the ball. So
It's true.
14 and a half sounds pretty good to me. But again, that's a lean on that one. So
Patriots and Cardinals, I have no opinion on rushing props. Do you? Buccaneers, Chargers. You could talk me into Gus Edwards under his rush attempts. He kind of sucks, man. He had 10 carries for 36 yards against the Chiefs. Somehow he got a touchdown. He only had 6 carries against Atlanta for 32 yards. Against Baltimore, 9 carries for 11 yards. Against Cincinnati, 6 for 27. Against Tennessee, 10. Where are they getting this 11.5 number? Because isn't Justin Herbert just going to dice up this secondary? The Tampa Bay is not bad against the run. I don't know. No, I'm out on Gus Edwards. Whether you take the rushing yards under or the rush attempts under, I think
I'd rather take the yards than the attempts if I had to pick.
Okay, yeah. So he went over against Tennessee and he went over against Carolina. Whoop-dee. That's it. Whoop-dee. So yeah, it's probably Gus Edwards under. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, if I'm taking anything, Gus Edwards under, but there's so many better plays on the board than trying to pick this.
Packers and Seahawks. Yeah, give me Charbonnet over 61.5. Walker looks to be out. Charbonnet's explosive. He showed he has big play potential. I get a starting running back that's going to get all the carries for 61.5 yards. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm with you. Charbonnet over 61.5. The last 2 that Kenneth Walker hasn't played, he had 134 versus the Cardinals and 91 versus the Dolphins. We cannot stop the run. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We just can't. At 61.5 on a starting running back, yes, please. So.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that you follow the Packers more than just about anybody. So just seems, it feels low. It feels, and also when I saw his rush attempts, kind of doesn't match up. 15.5. If
he is getting 16 carries, he is going over 61.5.
I agree
without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. So Charbonnet, I think we're all in on. So, all right, Corbin, let's get to.
No. I've got one.
Oh, you have a field goal prop,
yes,
right?
I would. Yeah, I have one field goal prop. I will mention shop around before you play this, because at DraftKings it was minus 165, and I think at Bet365 it's like minus 110. So definitely shop around. But it's Kaimi Fairbairn over 1.5 field goals. He's gone over in 9 straight. They've the Texans have been struggling in the red zone. Mixon is definitely slowing down. The second half of the year he is slowing down. No Diggs obviously has hindered them in the red zone. Stroud's confidence is down a bit, and you can the Dolphins can easily stop them in the red zone. Over 1.5 field goals actually might be my favorite prop on the board. This one, I also I'll get to it in just a second. Actually, I'll leave that one. But yeah.
Okay, I was looking at extra points made. If you can find some of these guys, Brandon Aubrey. They're not scoring 2 touchdowns against the Panthers. I don't know. So that one was a first half hit last week. So, all right, let's get to the alt line here, Corbin. That is not it. Here we go. All right. Talk out your alt universe. This is minus 141. So we're going to do one play in the Colts and Broncos, and then you got to go to same game parlay for the Jets and the Jaguars. So go ahead and talk this one out.
Correct. These are all, I had limited options on alt lines at doing this. So this is what I've come up with. It's Cortland Sutton, 50 plus receiving yards. He's covered this in 9 of the last 10. He gets a great matchup versus the Colts. I love that piece. That's probably one of my favorite pieces. And then move on to the same game parlay, which is a reoccurring theme for me this show. I'm taking the Jets plus 7.5. Last 3 games, although they've lost, they've been a lot closer. There is positive signs. They're building for next year. Rodgers looks good, and I
They're
covered
building for next year.
They've covered this in 5 of the last 6. The Jags have lost 5 of their last 6. They scored 10 points last week. Mac Jones, I've just wrote Mac Jones, ooh, sucks. Like, I don't, like, are the Jets really going to lose by more than 7 here?
Probably not.
I don't see it. And then Rodgers, I liked him to go over 1.5, and I've taken him to just have 1. So he has a passing touchdown in all but 2 games this year. He looks fitter. He looks younger, more mobile. He looks good. They've got Adams, Lazard, and Wilson, and they're playing free. They don't. There's no pressure on any of these guys anymore. Their season's been over for weeks. They're just going out there and having fun. Rodgers wants to build his name. He has such a big ego that there's no way he doesn't have a passing touchdown, I think. I love this. I love all of this together for minus 141. I will just say some of the other alt pieces that I would have liked, but not every book has them. Fairbairn, I just mentioned him to go over 1.5. Him to just have a field goal is a good price. Chuba Hubbard, alts of 50 and 60. And Adam Thielen alts, what I'm looking at as well as what's in this play. So
I would also throw in Lamar Jackson to not throw in interception.
Yes.
The comment section is going to be absolutely.
Oh, I'm going to get roasted if
this is going to be absolutely amazing. The quote of the week is definitely the Jets are building for next season.
They got to build for something, right?
Coaches, they've got old guys on last year.
Well, they're coming back. Rodgers is coming back next year.
I commend you, Corbin. Jim is not here. You took the Jets side.
I really wanted Jim to be here.
You've done very well with promoting the Jets stuff. It's great. Jets are building for next season. Fantastic. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Hit the like button. Don't forget to go grab that 10-day pass, guys. Nobody's won more units at Wager Talk than we have in the last 2 years. And you're going to get all sports, including the World Championship of Darts, which is available on all these sports books. NHL plays are on a 7-1 run. You're going to get 2 weeks of NFL plays as well. You get all of our bowl games for college football. We do 1 play a week, 10-5 this season in college football. So you're going to get all those plays. 10 days for only $99. WT.buzz/AL. Good luck on all your plays, and we'll see you later.
Good luck.